I just wanted to add that I think while quite rightly there was a lot of emphasis on the need for the institution to basically put what are called the foundational components, I believe also it's very important for the institution to encourage, especially its students, to engage in the development of innovative products and services. Again, drawing on my experience over the last few days in Lagos at USPF Challenge, the team that actually came second developed something called Jiggy. And as students, they identified that one of the biggest problems for their fellow students was actually managing their money with regards to food. So what they did was that they developed an app that basically allows students to, for example, put 10,000 naira down so that they can go to the canteens, and then, there are a whole bunch of mechanisms. But the point I'm trying to put across is that this thing is actually outside the scope of the school itself. You see? So the school is simply just providing sometimes just a platform of connectivity, which comes to a discussion we had earlier, that sometimes you don't wait for official permission. You can go ahead and develop some kind of product or service. Another one of the teams from the same challenge, two young ladies, have developed some kind of online e-library solution. Again, student-developed, student-driven, because what they identified was that within the one or two campuses that they were familiar with, basically the e-library does not work. So they have a system that bypasses the on-campus library, because as students they need the content. So I just want us to emphasize that sometimes the smart campus is actually not simply about providing, that is the institution providing the smart services, but being able to galvanize the students, even staff, to be able to deliver, to be able to develop smart services. Thank you.
A wonderful presentation, and I think at this point I can always say I can go back to my institution, because what I have gained so far in this conference is all about, it's just as if it's designed specifically for me. This conference for today, as if it's just designed for me. Yeah, I really want to have this message across to everybody here from the university. Just like we are talking about the students. Most times they come to we that we are IT staff within an institution. They want to do some little projects. But I discover most staff don't, they are not ready to assist these students. And then they get discouraged because they need some little information from us. Because a lot of students have actually come to me for such information. I want to do this project, please can you assist me with an information? So please, I want to encourage us, please, as these students come, let's try as much as possible to assist in the little way we can assist, most especially as regards some information, because we have the information with us, they don't have. So as they come, please, let's assist them, because we are talking about research and encouragement for these students. And I think it's going to help our nation in a great way. Let's not discourage them. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
I think I just want to say, I think to a large extent, what you said, I don't know what the level of authority the IT departments of schools have, to introduce this kind of initiative, where you can actually encourage, because you mustn't have a smart campus before you become an innovation hub. Like you said, these are students, not graduates. So obviously whatever the designs came up with was done while they were in school, and now they are bringing it to USPF. So just imagine if IT departments can now, and of course you will look good in the eyes of the VC, if you can come up with these initiatives where you can start developing small innovation hubs within schools and encouraging them, probably not funding, but mentorship, guidance, and through that it becomes easier to invite, so you don't have to wait for the next USPF forum probably next year to, so these are, like you said, you are taking things back, and I think this is also one thing that we should take back to our schools. make a lot of difference. It could change somebody's life and even change the country, the entire country, just because we're able to do this. All right.
I know. Don't cry, don't worry. No, but I think it needs to be said that, like the Arizona State University you mentioned there, what the girl was, all the benefits of what she was able to get on her handset, there were probably things students at that place were having before the internet and before these devices. I remember distinctly my admission letter to Ahmadu Bello University in the 70s, early 70s. There was a map at the back of it with directions. If I arrive in the morning, I should stop. I should ask to be dropped here. If it is in the evening, I should ask to be dropped here. If it was at night, I should ask to be dropped here. And I arrived at night and dropped there, and there was somebody there collecting people coming at night and guiding them. I think we lost a lot because these devices don't do things for you. Really, you first, I think we have, our culture has deteriorated. That's the truth. If you have people who want to make life simpler for students, you know, they can do it with, I always say, the societies with the Ablakim. Remember, societies with very good virtual libraries are the same society that have very, very good physical libraries. So we need to bear that in mind. Another thing I want to say is that I wish there was a way we could know who was planning a new institution before they actually build one. Is there any way we can maybe make announcements on stakeholders list?
We used to have someone in NUC who would tell us.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, I have to be but the thing is that maybe a few posts on stakeholders lists regarding things like that. We can actually organize a workshop for those who want to set up new schools, new...
You know, I know one of the major challenges Nigerian universities have, which I really don't know how it's going to be solved, is the tenure of the VCs. You know, because, well, I know that nobody here has the influence to change that. Because some of the very successful institutions we talk about, you will see VCs and presidents that have been there for 20 years, you know, and more.
That's how we started.
So, I don't know.
This is the issue. That's how we started. We started without these term limits. Then individuals began to abuse it. And as we insisted, we should limit it. Not just limit it to 5 years, but not to renewable. You know? But that's how we started. The solution is for IT guys and institutions to, or for us, to train, to continue training all those likely to become principal officers, not to wait until they become. Okay? That's the solution, really. Literacy among the academic staff and the registry staff, you know, whatever opportunity you can. One of the problems I know exists is that they don't listen. We don't listen to our resources. We don't listen to our staff, right? Yeah, you are taken for granted. You know nothing. So they listen to. They actually amolari electricity. Now, but if you guys can let us know what you would want your VCs to know, what to accept, you can let us know and we can put it right and actually send to them. And then it looks like it's coming from Nigeria ICT Forum of Culture. Okay, that's one way to go around it. Now you have people who want to comment.
One of the tracks I saw is your training. I saw you for doing IT Essentials and you want to use the Networking Academy.
Sorry?
The Networking Academy to about 90 essential. So I want to talk about the Networking Academy. The Networking Academy now currently has a very rich resource for IoT. They just brought 3 courses on that Networking Academy. And Networking Academy for schools, there's already a discussion with the Ministry of Education. They are trying to integrate. Okay, so they are trying to bring a Networking Academy. The Networking Academy is a very rich resource for IoT.
Which academy?
Cisco Networking Academy.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes. So they just launched 3 courses for IoT. One is IoT fundamentals, get connected, connecting things. One is data analytics. And the resources are free. Once you become a networking academy, you don't pay much. So even the IoT connecting things is very good for secondary schools and post-secondary schools like technical institute, technical colleges. So it's a very rich resource. If you can really spread it, it's already taking place in, they're already using it in France, Singapore, and some other countries. So right now, currently, they take the country manager and the technical manager for Africa, they're in Abuja. They are still meeting with the Ministry of Education. So that,
Is it vendor neutral?
yes, it's vendor neutral. That is one thing. Because people used to hear, what's the Cisco Networking Academy? You think it's Cisco. It's not Cisco. Even the academic platform, we have Python, we have C++, we have C. All inside. So it's not vendor
Specific.
It's not vendor specific.
We don't trust them.
Are you with Cisco? Yes. I'm not with Cisco.
The first thing why we don't trust is when people want to say what you just said, they should first start by declaring their affiliation. It improves our trust.
Okay, no, I'm not with Cisco, really. I'm just a partner.
Partner in progress. So is that a question? I didn't get the question.
No, it's not a question. It's not a question.
Advice, yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Nice presentation, but 2 things I would want to see is we've seen a lot of smart campuses, and it's also surprising that till now universities cannot actually say they have some level of smartness in their campuses. So can we, maybe your presentation should tell us, since we have techies here, maybe these are the ways or guidelines to build, just like Dr. Aminu said. For techies, go and then maybe at a rate, maybe for you to get to a smart campus, you need steps 1, 2, 3, up to 10. Then on step 1, you've done this as a techie. Step 2, you guys have been able to do this, so you're partially smart. Then like that, because if we wait, and then you people are also closer to those who take decisions. Another thing you might want to do is that for the markets that you sell, maybe you should build one smart campus for them, so that people can actually say, because it's funny that in Nigeria, with the number of universities we have, even I was waiting for Conference to say yes, they have, but they couldn't even say, so it means we'll have a problem somewhere. So help us. Let's take a university and meet some of those people who have money. Let them build one. So rather than we putting up Arizona in our presentations, we can put up one in Nigeria, that at least we'll have one going like. So in our next presentation, maybe at the next NGO, you will be telling us, after the presentation, these people have been able to come 20% up to this, or 30 or something like that.
Okay, thanks a lot for that. In the roadmap, I actually did, I think, address a bit of that, about the how to start the journey and all that. So first of all, you need to have a vision. Yes, I want to build a smart campus. I'm on the path to building a smart campus. Then it starts with the infrastructure. So what sort of infrastructure are you designing? What sort of infrastructure are you building? I'll use an example since I've already mentioned. Fortunately, we're on the path. Just has started. Because fortunately we were also involved. So basically the just commissioned, their 40 gig, core network, comprising that has all the fundamentals, to drive automation, and to also migrate to an SDN, which, like I said, the core network infrastructure, provides the base for smart campuses. So that's the first step. So if you build that, then the IoTs are things that gradually you can start integrating into the network from your smart boards, already. But it's not enough to have a smart board in the classroom when a student that for some reason can't make it to the class is not able to connect to that smart board, because that's really one of the key reasons why that smart board was made. So the IoT integration is going to be gradual. We'll talk about the RFID. I don't know. Somebody talked about building an Android phone. All these are platforms that run, Android and readily available software. So get the infrastructure right. Make sure it's scalable, because your needs are going to change. So that tomorrow, rather than spending on the expansion, you don't go back and start spending on the infrastructure. So if but like we said, yes, we are fortunate enough to interface with, key decision makers, but sadly the challenges that I listed here are also the challenges that we face all the time. So some people will tell you, oh, I've spent so much money doing my CCIE, this is what I know, I'm not going to change. Does it work for you? Nobody thinks of that. So rather, a bit of, sadly, selfishness comes in, and meanwhile, this is the decision maker. So that never passes him to the next level. Or the VC will say, this is not a priority. Hostels to do, So yeah, the challenges, sadly, are things that sometimes we have no control over. So it has to be a mindset change, and across a wider community of the stakeholders.
Mr. Dewale, please. Give him a round of applause, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dewale Ajao. I manage the Bandwidth Consortium. They somehow arranged the project into Nigeria, and I manage it now. I've done that for a few years. I've been set up. I've been given the last slot for the day. So I'm sure most of you have already mentally shut down, for those who are still physically present. So it's not really a presentation on what I got. I want to share an experience. Last year we spoke about, who was at last year's conference? Okay, so we spoke about pairing and interconnection. And I don't know if that worked. Okay, it does. Okay, so it's just a short session where ordinarily maybe this would have been a 10-minute session or a 15-minute session, but somehow, because I know the organizers, they're giving me a full slot. And we want to, sorry, I'm also shutting down, just like you. So we want to show what we've been able to do between last year and this year within the Abuja area. We could take a long route to it, which is to share a little bit of history, or we could just jump forward to what we've done and how we did it. Can we take a poll? Which one should we do? History? Look at them, forming good students. Okay, so we go through the history. We agree on that. So some of this is true, for those that can read it. Presentation completed 5 minutes before the session. Lost people. Anyway. One of the things that one of the things I've observed is that when you leave yourselves at the mercy of internet service providers, your connection will only get as good as you can pay money for. So if you can't spend more money, your connectivity is not going to get better. But as engineers, there are a couple of things you can do. And these are things that have been shown us by people who built the internet. That is, if you have, I think Reverend SF mentioned it earlier, that if you have an entity here, an entity there, you can connect directly for better performance, higher bandwidth capacity, and lower costs. So what we've got here, sadly, is that most of us buy all our connectivity from the commercial telcos. We don't make any attempts to deploy anything to interconnect people that are nearby. If you've got a campus here and a campus there, 6 kilometers apart, 10 kilometers apart, some people don't even bother to try and establish a radio link between the two or consider laying a fiber cable between the two. The most successful models are the ones where let's just connect, we agree to connect, and we can pass traffic across anyway, because you can say that, oh, the customers are on my own network, you should be the one who is paying. At the same time, the guy should say, the customers are paying you, you should be the one who is paying us for this service, since anyway, you could pay an upstream internet service provider. Sorry, no diagrams to make this simpler, but did anybody get that? Yes. Or did I finish that explanation? Okay, so internet exchange point, you have a location, people meet there, and on their own terms, they pass traffic across themselves. It's simpler because the network is closer. It's probably just a cable coming from you to me. Unlike if you pass it through the upstream internet service provider, it passes it through this router, that router goes to that network, comes back, crosses whatever rules before it comes back into the destination network. So better quality of service, larger capacity. So the CEO of IXPN was here, he explained a little bit, but I think I've done a little bit of that now since many of us were not here. So you opted for the historical route. Unfortunately, we still have some babas in the room, so I can't lie to you about anything. they will correct me, but I think off the top of my head, over the last about 15 years, we had something that looked like this. Everybody was buying satellites. It was really expensive. Then, after a while, we had a single submarine cable from the SAT-3 consortium, managed by the national carrier for every country in that consortium. Nitel, anybody's heard of Nitel? Okay, you're not that young. Okay, so Nitel was the operator of that cable. And one of the babas here can tell you stories about how operators needed to power the points of presence of the fiber.
Money for diesel.
So that the place could stay operational and they could access bandwidth which was cheaper than what they were paying by satellite. The national long distance links were still expensive. Initially with Nitel, they were expensive because the failures were so many, people had to put in efforts. Now with the mobile network operators, they're expensive because each operator is laying their own cable. So an operator takes a loan of X million dollars, starts to dig, puts electronics, puts cable, and he's only using one or maybe two strands of that cable. But he wants to recover the money from the few customers who are buying. From our satellite days, from our lack of interconnection, we're still stuck in the mindset of just giving small amount of bandwidth. And the guy will simply average his cost over that small amount of bandwidth. And you have multiple cable runs, so you're taking multiple teams. Prices won't come down with that. Little by little, we'll have mobile internet service. Then, with all of this, the fixed local internet service providers, who are actually the ones that can make these pairings and interconnections happen, started to die off. Because they were competing with people who were more mobile. They would put one base station and they would reach how many thousand customers. The regular small ISP has to run the same size of diesel generator, the same cost, for his servicing maybe what, 10, 15 customers. Now, because we talked about this, because there are global caches at the exchange point, it becomes more attractive to small ISPs. Small ISPs move there because they save money, they need to stretch every buck that they can. And on the research and education side, a couple of locations try to build research and education clusters. They have meetings, in some cases put the hardware in it, but because we've done some things wrong, we as engineers have decided that we want to build networks because networks are good and stuff like that. But we've not carried along the researchers, we've not carried along the students and the users of the network as much as we should. Because everybody or anybody who's run a business knows that when you have a customer, your customer is the one that drives you to do more, especially a difficult customer. So the National Research and Education Network, NGREN, is officially launched, but still its impact is limited because, again, they try to use the mobile network operators to deliver connectivity between, say, a Zaria and a Lagos. The MNO will charge the same amount of money if you want internet or if you want that local connection. The guy's headache really is internet connectivity. As far as he knows, internet connectivity is his headache. So he uses that link only for internet, even though there's an IXPN there in Lagos. With time, local web hosting starts to take off. There's more content locally, so we're seeing more traffic at the IX. But it's still too expensive. Because on the one hand, it's interesting when you say, oh, there's an internet exchange point in Nigeria, you can move your traffic locally, local websites will load faster for your customers. But seriously, somebody out there on the internet says $24 per month for a web hosting plan. A local web hosting company tells me bring $500 per month. In what kind of universe does that make sense? Leave that speed, I don't want it. I save my 400 and whatever dollars. So anyway, knowing what the challenge was, or after looking to see what the challenge was, IXPN went out to look for support so that they could at least establish some kind of connectivity between those locations that they planted up country. The moment I heard that that kind of support was available and they had some connectivity, I dusted my router, which had been sitting in Lagos, by the way. In 2000 and, don't remember now, I think it was 2011, that we put a router there at the IX in Lagos, saying that we will start moving our traffic. When I say we, I mean the Bandwidth Consortium. We will start moving our traffic through the IX so that we can have all the gains of connecting through the IX. By the time we got the bills for connecting from the member locations to the IX, we said, you know what, the down payment that we've made for the capacity in that place, leave it. Which one do you say is the cheaper option to get us internet connectivity? And we just abandoned that project. But connectivity came to us in Abuja. We pulled out the router, plugged it in there. Unfortunately, things, I can't say that we can't take all the credit for it. Things have changed a little more in the market. Today you have people who are doing fiber to the premises. So in the office, we were able to get a fiber connection from the internet exchange point to to our premises. Now, ordinarily, we would have had to pay millions because they will tell you, oh, we need to lay fiber for you, blah, blah, blah. But scale is starting to change. And it's okay, we can give you a virtual private circuit on this, it won't cost you so much. So we readjusted a few things, moved equipment around, and now we are, if anybody were to, okay, there's nobody in the office this week really, but if anyone were to visit the office, that's the consortium office, you would find that anything you're doing on any Nigeria hosted website just goes really fast. Your banking applications, your Google, YouTube, Google Drive, and things like that just fly by. And what we're spending as a recurrent hasn't changed much. So you might not understand why I'm excited like this, but if you had more insights into the amount of traffic or where the traffic in your network is going, who knows where the top 5 destinations for users in their networks are? Not guessing, actually being able to log into a device that tells you, okay, this is my top destination on this network. Who keeps track of things like that? Okay.
Check once in a while.
Yeah, but you know it's there.
Yes, yeah.
You put something in place that does it, that keeps track of that. One of the sad things.
That's what. That's
It's
part
not
of
like
what
that,
internet
yeah.
is
If you remove the e-government services, which don't exist.
No, we do have some services running. Yes, some services running. I was pleasantly surprised when Link came up and we were able to reach. I don't recall which of these agencies it was, but I saw that it was just a few hops away from the router.
Most of the ministers are in Abuja. I think it's that system. How come Galaxy is not here?
So are you saying the two internet exchange points, the one office in Lagos and Abuja, are not interconnected?
They are now interconnected.
Oh, okay.
For a long time they were not. And right now they're interconnected on a pilot. So we make a case for it, we max out the link, and then that link goes, oh, okay, truly, people actually want to use this thing, and then the link is upgraded.
It's a layer 3 interconnection instead of layer 2. Right?
For those who know what that means.
Yeah, that's what I was
He's feeling smart, right?
What you would expect, okay, and this is, first of all, disclosure. I'm a member of the board of the Internet Exchange. So let me give a full disclosure before I talk. What one would expect, because don't forget, this is a grant from the USPF, which is really one of the things USPF is set up to do. But what one would expect is that the exchange point should own the fiber that goes from Lagos to Abuja, which is what you said.
Yeah, but not lay. Own, yes, it's
Own
not lay.
is my word. Own.
No, I was just
fiber.
correcting.
Yes, but again, the two, they're very, very different. But when you aim for one, you may end up with the two. So what you would expect is that they own the fiber that goes from Lagos to Abuja. They can lease it, they can do anything. Okay? But that is a layer 2 connectivity level circuit. Whatever bandwidth you put on it doesn't matter because it's your fabric. Okay? It's like you have a car. Whether it carries 10 people or 2 people, it's your car. It just moves. But what you have now is a layer 3 link. It's bandwidth bought from a third party. Okay, which means it is finite and it is costly. Now the problem is that because it is bandwidth, the man who has an office in Lagos and has an office in Abuja can make good use of it by just being on it. So it's no more buying bandwidth. And then the other problem is that the operators are on it. They are again losing money Because rather than provide services at 2 locations, they are providing services at no location. So it's a double-edged sword. Okay? But if the exchange point owns the fabric, then it becomes easy. Then the service providers can provide service. You see, it's a problem when the customer of a provider and the provider appear at the exchange point. The provider loses. Because then why would you buy from him when you can just go to the exchange point? So that's why there's a lot of reluctance. And that's why it's good if it is something like the BWC that is paired and not the individual members of the BWC. Then the fight by the operators would be much more reduced. I've seen an effort where a lot of people are trying to pair individually instead of going through the group. Okay? It destroys the economic case for the providers themselves. And without providers, you can't have an ecosystem. And I think it was Dewole or Baba that mentioned it. One of the biggest things that kills and slowed down connectivity in Nigeria is that when the operators came, the big operators, nobody looked at the small providers and created a system for them to survive. Because without them, the big operators cannot really reach the end users. So we still have the same level of penetration as it was 5 years ago. Okay, and that's because we killed the ecosystem. So in the same vein, we must also be careful at the exchange point, that we don't again kill the ecosystem by making everybody connect such that people who normally should buy transit will take advantage of transit as a service offered by the exchange point being paid for by a different person. It's not effective. If you remember when we first started internet services, where is David? You remember you could put broadcast on your access point. And you just have some people face your network in one part of town, face it from another part in their home, and they have a connection between the 2 locations. And you, as the ISP, you get no income from that until we discovered, okay, when you turn port forwarding off, then they can't do that again, then they will come and pay. And it was enjoyable to see people come to say, okay, we want you to work, take our money. Thank you.
Okay. So left here is our regular traffic pattern, capped at 2 Mbps, because that's all we can afford. And now what you have here is just me playing around, dumping a 2 gig file in a Google Drive. This is within, what's that, 30 minutes or so, and then fetching it again within 20 minutes.
It's an ADSL.
No, it isn't. But I don't know what it is that they've done on the outbound versus the inbound side. It's supposed to be symmetric, but for whatever reason, I think the cap on the
GPON.
Yeah, it's a GPON.
It's a symmetric.
Ah, okay. So faster downloads anyway, and so this is the summary for me. The takeaway that I think is important is that you can look at how to get connected there, even if you're not looking at it for the really long distance. Anybody who's hosting anything at that same location or who's connected to that same location, you get the performance improves significantly. During the course of the week, for those who are attending the workshops, you get a little feel of it, because we've extended the link from the office, and then we've got a little bit of what's it called? Rashida? Connectivity sponsorship, yes. Connectivity sponsorship from Suburban that operates Legend, but because of the terrain here, we couldn't do a fiber all the way, so we just did a last mile radio of about 4 kilometers. So you might find at some point that the greedy hogs in the place have taken up a lot of the bandwidth to the international sites, but traffic to local sites would still be pretty fast, because that's an IP address, right?
No, the ASN.
But an IP address does that, I was told.
Together, because there's no way you get yes. Okay. You can.
So maybe what you want to do, maybe what you want to do is define you.
Yeah, that's what.
So you, if you are defining you as a single computer, that could be an IP address. But as a network, that's an ASN. So your autonomous system is a network that is different from any other network and from which your traffic originates or traffic to you comes. So there are no questions and answers, right?
So thank you very much.
He has a comment. Where is he? Who is talking?
Grand entrance.
Yeah, okay.
So take questions, comments.
Okay, I think one thing I should point out, and I'm beginning to see it, because I've been doing quite a lot of look around, is that it costs about, let's be hypothetical, maybe $100, $1,800 per month to put a university website up, hosted. Maybe hosted somewhere in the US or in the UK. Or if the same website was hosted in Nigeria, maybe the companies in Nigeria will ask for like $150, $200 a month, maybe 4 times, but it's not up to 5 times now of what the cost is. But we asked earlier on, who's monitoring where the traffic is going?
So my question now is, can I pair with, if I have a campus that I'm only interested in Gmail stuff, so all the Google thing, can I just pair with IXPN and forget bandwidth and still be able to access?
As long as every time the person types a name, it changes to a valid IP, or maybe every time he types the name of the stuff you have access to over there, then you can move the packets in and out. Since with BGP, your router already knows how to get to the exchange and it comes back in. The other thing that you would think about is that it then means you'd really only be able to access what is in country. Because I just thought of it that outside networks will not be able to find you. Since you're not going out to the outside networks anyway, so they're not looking for you. Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments before the president, the bandwidth consortium CEO, the okay, don't do.
Thank you.
Only you. So please. Sorry. Thank you very much. Please, another round of applause for him. I would like us at this moment to give a standing ovation to the presenters today, the organizers, and everybody that has put in something into this conference. Please give a standing ovation and welcome.
It's been a very, very nice day. We want to thank Baba. Thank you for coming. It's nice having you around. One question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Please appreciate Adjola Lua for us. Thank you so much for coming.